What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. So as you can tell by the title, another look back at a toy line in this video, this time with 2005's Transformers Cybertron, a toy line that a lot of us Transformers fans from the 2000s, as a 2000s kid myself, remembers very fondly. I did grow up with this toy line in stores and all the repaints that we got in the 2007 movie toy line and throughout Universe 2008. And it's just got a fond place in my heart and my memories in the 2000s, which I really do love. But I just want to go through this video talking about some standout figures from this toy line, at least in my opinion. So yeah, let's start off with, I guess, Deluxe Class. And who should I pick from first? So I guess let's go with Cannonball. Now, this figure recently got a pretty mediocre update, in my opinion, because it's off of the Skids body mold, which I talked about in one of yesterday's videos, that Hasbro needs to do away with that mold. If you guys want to see that video, go check it out. It's on the channel. But this is one of the most amazing repaints that Hasbro has ever done, totally reimagining the character and reinventing the whole mold itself, giving that sort of eye patch look with the head sculpt is just genius paint work, trying to differentiate between Red Alert and Cannonball. And the way they handled the skull emblems and stuff on the vehicle mode is just so cool and badass looking. My boy Crosswise, this is probably one of my favorite Deluxe Class figures of all time. I know he's got a decent amount of clear plastic on him, but my copy that's been floating around for 19 years is just perfectly fine. There's basically no clear plastic cracking at all from what I can tell. So that just shows you the quality of plastic that they used to use compared to what they use now, which is kind of disappointing. But the vehicle mode, which is a Bugatti, looks super clean. Basically no robot mode kibble unless if you look inside the clear plastic windows, which is a little iffy, but not too big of a deal. And the way they handled the flip-out cannons is fantastic in both modes. The spoiler cannon with the blast effect that's also a missile launcher is just so cool and fun to play around with. Cybertron Defense Hotshot, one of the most feature-heavy Deluxe Class figures you will probably ever see in Transformers history. This figure has so many flip-out cannons, weapons, a knife even, cyber key gimmicks all over him, all of this weapon storage and vehicle mode that is just so crazy and just so fun. I've never actually had this figure in hand. I've just seen reviews and how the features work, and I can only imagine what it's like having this figure in hand. The only reason why I don't have it is because the articulation is a bit outdated. He's a bit of a brick in robot mode, but he still has the core basic movements in terms of the arms and legs. Downshift, what a genius Deluxe Class figure. Sure, he's a little awkward and chunky looking in robot mode, but still, the design is so cool. It reminds me of the Ben 10 car. I don't know if that's a reference or not to that, but still really cool either way. I love the old school retro 60s muscle car vehicle mode, and the feature with the flip out claw cannon at the front of the car is just amazing. In both modes, it looks cool. And he's got the two big ass cannons that port on the sides of the vehicle mode that make for this cool sort of weaponizer vehicle form. Long Rack, probably one of the most random but welcomed Deluxe Class releases ever from Hasbro. Long Rack is a Beast Wars Neo B-list Beast Wars character, and they basically gave him a Cybertronian form or an Earth mode form in Unicron Trilogy. Either or. If you read the IDW comics, he takes on this form on Cybertron, or if you're just a Unicron Trilogy fan, this is his mode on Earth. So just going off of that history on this design here, it is so cool and very versatile as well. If you're somebody who does photography or stop motion stories like me, you're gonna love this figure. And we get a random Beast Wars, Megatron, and Optimus Prime figure at Deluxe Class. They were originally meant for the 10th anniversary Beast Wars subline at the time, but they were shoved into Cybertron, I believe, and they were given cyber key gimmicks, which were kind of cool, kind of mediocre, but overall pretty decent figures and kind of underrated if you ask me. You could kind of use these for like Cybertronian forms of the characters. Deluxe Class Unicron, another kind of random figure, but with the story that they were telling in the fiction at the time, it makes sense. So this is basically Unicron after getting destroyed, and he's basically just building himself back up, which is why he's a deluxe class sized figure, which is kind of a genius way of including a deluxe Unicron and putting that into the story. And overall, it's just a really well done figure. It turns into a Cybertronian tank, which is badass and just really fitting for Unicron. And the last deluxe I want to talk about here, Sideways. This is probably one of the best Unicron Trilogy figures, and it has aged perfectly. I mean, you could still put this in your modern day Generations shelf, and you really wouldn't bat an eye. The articulation is pretty much modern era. It's just missing ankle pivot and a waist swivel. Scout class, it's a bit mediocre, but there's a couple good figures. Breakdown for his size is really well articulated and has a kind of cool transformation. The Cyber Key gimmick is nice because it acts as part of the car mode, so it's some nice weapon storage there. Hard Top, who remembers this dude in Earthspark, kind of a random addition, but very welcomed for a Unicron Trilogy glazer such as myself. But yeah, the overall design in both modes and the vehicle mode that they chose was pretty cool, especially for a scout class at that time. Along with Lugnuts, even though he doesn't have any head articulation, just the look of the bike mode and how they painted it with those gold flames is just so cool. And the robot mode itself, while it is kind of an acquired taste, it is really unique and a super cool design in my opinion at least. And the last scout class I wanted to talk about here, Ransack, Crumplezone's buddy. Now, this is probably the best scout class figure we've ever gotten. It just functions really well. It looks probably the best. It's not as awkward as you usually get with some of the scout class figures. The articulation is good. The weapon and the Cyber Key gimmick is really fun if you ask me. Now, Supreme class is a size class we don't really get anymore. I guess the closest thing to that is Commander class. But Primus was really amazing, man. All the flip-out weapons and gimmicks and features and Cyber Key gimmicks he had. He came with the Omega Lock, which we never got before in figure form. We have a destroyed version of Unicron's head that came with him that was really well detailed with the sculpted details and the paint on him. Just a really fun figure, and the articulation even was genius back then with the hand articulation, waist swivel, and stuff like that. And even the Starscream that they did at Supreme class was pretty good. It was basically just an upscaled version of the Voyager class mold, but they did add some extra features to it. They gave him his crown and stuff, which was really cool. I mean, both releases are nice, big, chunky figures that are super fun in my opinion. Let's talk about Ultra class, which used to be the size class in between Voyager and Leader. Hopefully we get this size class again someday, because I really do feel like some characters could benefit from that in-between size class. I've mentioned this in previous videos before, so hopefully somebody at Hasbro is watching and they consider this. But a couple that I want to cover here. First off, Jetfire. Wow, what a figure that is just ahead of its time. The weapon storage is genius. The transformation is genius on how some of the robot mode bits hide in the jet mode. And just the overall robot mode and the articulation and how they engineered it was kind of ahead of its time for a lot of the Ultra class figures that we got, because a lot of them were compromised for the gimmicks and the lights and sounds. So some of them didn't have the correct articulation. And this Jetfire basically does. I'm pretty sure he has wrist swivel, waist swivel, a nice ball jointed head, which you really didn't get too often with an Ultra class figure. My guy, Wing Saber. Oh my god. This is... I'm going to say this right now, and if you guys don't agree with me, whatever it is, what it is, it's my opinion. I think this Wing Saber is one of the greatest Transformers figures ever made, and especially made by Hasbro. All of the features that come with this figure, all of the accessories he has the cannons, the missile launchers, the other little guns. And then he has the swords that also act as these wing things that help with taking off during flight. I forgot the name of them. And they also act as swords in robot mode that you could plug in. And he's also got all these flip-out cannons on his wings that you could also plug into the hands. And you could use different options with how you plug the swords and the guns into the hands as well. And he's got this crazy backpack cannon thing that has a cyber key gimmick that you can make the cannon bigger, and it also has some lights and sounds for like a blast effect noise, which is actually kind of fun and cool. I usually don't like sound effects on figures, but this one is actually really well done. Now on to Voyager class. Now, in my opinion, this is where a lot of the crazy bangers come from. Crumple Zone, the color scheme is just abrasive and wacky, and I love it. The design of him, the functionality, and the transformation, so fun in hand. The cyber key gimmick with those big-ass cannons and the missiles, I love it. Chef's kiss. The vehicle mode design is wacky and just Cybertronian, and I love it. Cybertron defense scattershot, way better than that terrible scout class. All the flip-out cannons and the cyber key gimmicks that you get with him is amazing. You get launching missiles, another cannon, and the vehicle mode and overall robot mode design is just so fun to look at. And also his articulation is really well done too, especially for a Voyager class back then. Evac, oh my god, the features on this guy. The hook rope thing that can retract and you could pull down as well is so cool. You get the rotor blade weapon that also has a spinning gimmick. He's got the two cannons with flip-out missiles that are awesome. And it's also the cyber key gimmick where they flip out, which is really nice too. Vector freaking Prime, the myth and the legend himself, way better than the terrible legacy figure we got earlier this year. All the features he's got, the weapon storage for the sword, the cannon that he has on the front of his vehicle mode with the launching missile, his Minicon safeguard that acts as his gun, and the weapon storage for it also looks really cool in jet form. And the Cybertronian jet mode is so cool. Sometimes I just display him in jet form just to look at it because it's equally as cool as his robot mode design. Nemesis Breaker, I'm choosing this one because I prefer the paint scheme and I don't really like Leo Breaker and how the combined mode looks on Optimus. But with Megatron and how you could use that, he got a crazy combination arm for Megatron. Like, that is just crazy and just adds even more interesting looks to Megatron's design than it already has. And don't even get me started on the paint scheme for Nemesis Breaker. Super genius and really brings the mold to life way better than Leo Breaker. Mudflap, super underrated and a bit overhated in my opinion. All the gimmicks and the flip-out weapons he has are just so cool and fun to look at. And the vehicle mode and the robot mode, simple transformation but also very intuitive. And the play in the figure is also really nice. He's got a decent amount of articulation and he just looks cool. Soundwave, another figure that I think gets a little too much hate because of the arm kibble. Still a really cool design in both modes, and the articulation that they used for it in robot mode is actually really well done, especially for today's standards. And especially how they used the bombing gimmick with his chest and everything. A really cool reinvention of the G1 cassette gimmick. And you could transform one of them into Laserbeak, and the other two bombs turn into his guns, which are really cool designs in my opinion. And now lastly, for the leader class, probably the best sized class we had for Cybertron, Optimus and Megatron. Oh my god. And the Galvatron repaint, even Metroplex even, how they were able to fit a figure as big as they could within leader class, while also giving him a big-ass, weapon and his Minicon drill bit, along with his cyber key gimmick, was just genius back then, even for a $40 leader class like Metroplex. But with Megatron and Optimus Prime, the cyber key gimmicks, the transformations, all the different combinations that you could do with these guys, oh man, it is just peak leader class engineering, super intuitive. all the paint and the details that you got on these three figures was just amazing, even back then. I mean, there's a reason why this Galvatron, Megatron, and Optimus Prime figures are so hard to get and so expensive now, because they're probably one of the best leader class figures that Hasbro has ever made. And especially that Optimus Prime. The Matrix feature, the 4 different modes that he has, all the combination gimmicks with Leo Breaker and Wing Saber. Just genius engineering all around here for these 3 leader class molds. And yeah, guys, that about does it for the Cybertron 2005 toy line. A lot of standouts, a lot of bangers, even for today still. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below which of these figures are your favorite from the toy line. All of my social medias are linked down below, including my email if you guys want to hit me up about business inquiries or if you want to message me about whatever, or if you want to commission a diorama from me, because I make dioramas for people for their stop motions, photography, or regular display shelves in your homes. You can either hit me up on any of my social medias or just email me and we can work out a deal. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye!